Uh,
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Vincent.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I
So,
hear you. The
yes, yes.
microphone is working perfectly, but I have no idea why the camera is not working.
I see. I see. Do you see, under our screens, there's like a sprocket?
Under the screen, there are several icons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Something's coming on. I see VC now. If you click, it's like a wheel with kind of sprockets. Can you see that? If you click on that,
a
can
wheel.
you know?
Oops.
Do you see that, or you don't see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, but I see.
Just
It
click
puts on.
it.
It says turn on camera, so
Yeah.
I put on turn on camera instead
Use.
on turn off, and I have no idea why. Uh,
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, should we
or,
just
or,
start?
otherwise, I can try again once again with the smartphone. Um,
It's
click
okay if you'd like
here.
to. If you'd like to.
Mobile app.
Yeah. Okay. If you'd like to try, yeah. That's up to you. It's okay. We just relax. It's sometimes these things happen. So
I have exactly the same problem with the smartphone. I hear it perfectly. Well, okay. I turn off the smartphone.
okay. Well, I guess we can try without your picture then.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, sorry about that. Let's not stress over technology. Sometimes these things happen. I don't know. So anyway, thank you very much, Vincent, for taking the time for this interview. Unfortunately, we cannot see you, but we can hear you loud and clear, so that's the main thing. Uh,
Thank you for the invitation.
Very good, very good. I was very keen, very excited to interview you because you've been in the Subbuteo world and circle for a very long time, uh, not only as a player, but also you were president of FISTF at one time, and now you've created WASPA. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit and see if you are willing to tell us about WASPA. But before that, tell us a little bit about how you got interested for the first time in Subbuteo. Let's go back to the beginning.
Oh, basically, I was a player just on my own, playing with friends when I was 12, 13 years old. I was really a kid. And we had a small league of three, four players. We played together. And when we were 15, we heard about the National Association in Belgium, and we decided to create our club in Templeuve. And the club is still existing. And that was back in 1989. uh, we were a group of a few friends, all very young, between 12 and 15, including my brother. And we played, attended tournaments for a few years. And when I was a bit older, about 19 or 20, I was asked to go in the national board in Belgium. So it was my first experience like an official, which is maybe a big name. But at this time, we were preparing the World Cup. It was for 1998 in Namur. It was the first time we had the FISTF World Cup
Hmm.
in Namur. It was really a big event. And for the history of FISTF, it was the first time we had players from the USA coming.
Hmm.
So, because formerly most of the players were from Europe,
Hmm.
and we had a Greg Denhart from the US traveling to play with us. It was a great experience.
Hmm.
And after that World Cup in 1998, we had to do a new board in Belgium, and I was candidate to be the president of the Belgian board. but I was not elected.
mm,
But so I gave a hand to the people who were involved at this time, and in the same period, in the FISTF board, Marco De Angelis, who was Italian living in Germany, was the sports director, and he asked me to help him in the communication development, communication department.
mm,
And at this time, my job was to do a monthly newsletter, and I did a newsletter for the international federation, and step by step, uh, I did always a bit more, and a few years later, in 2002, I became president of FIST. So I've been kind of president of FIST for 8 years till
mm,
2010,
mm,
and when my second term ended, um, it was big frustration for me because I had the feeling we did a good job, but for some of the national associations, it was never enough. And people thought at this time that we could become a professional sport or a big sport with
mm,
the sponsors, games on TV, and things like that, and that the circuit could become much bigger,
mm,
like the ATP in tennis. But so my vision of things was that we were already living in a much too superficial way, because superficial, what I mean is that we are an amateur sport and not many people can afford to travel every weekend or every month abroad
mm,
to play tournaments. And we see that for the last 20 years we have
mm,
a lot of players who travel to tournaments.
mm,
They travel, let's say, all around Europe, or sometimes even outside of Europe, but most of them don't contribute to develop the game in their country. Most of the people are just players. They don't do anything to get young players, new players,
mm,
local tournaments.
mm,
And for me, this is the problem. So when my term ended as a FISTF president, I thought that if I wanted to help the game, it was important to put the focus on local development.
mm,
And in Belgium, I wanted to create a circuit just for the clubs who
mm,
have their own premises, their own tables, the possibility to run local tournaments every week or every month or every 2 months. And when I made this proposal, all the people who took decisions are players who play a lot in FISTF tournaments, and they said it was not it was not their wish, and it
mm,
was not their priority. Their priority was only to play for world ranking points and go
mm,
to the World Cup and the European Cup for clubs. So I say, okay, if you don't want to do that, I will do my own thing on my own
mm.
without your help. And that's why I started the WASPA circuit. I made
Right.
the proposal. I made the proposals. I put this on the social networks, and I say, "We will see. We will follow." And just in a few hours and a few days, I had interest from the USA, from Malta, from Belgium, from many countries, and we started slowly doing small tournaments. And in the beginning, we had, let's say, 2, 3 tournaments per month. Then it became a bit bigger, let's say 5 to 10 tournaments per month. And now we have an average of 30, 35 tournaments per month. So it means that even if people did not believe it could work, in the end, it is working.
Very nice, very nice. That's very good. And can you tell us, just for viewers, maybe, new players are just coming on, a lot of new players. I'm based in Japan. In Asia, don't get enough information about anything. So let's say some of these new players are watching and they're interested and they're thinking, oh, I'm interested in WASPA, but what do I do to set up a tournament? How does it work? Can you give us a little rundown on how the WASPA system is set up and how it would work for them.
Yeah. It's really easy because one of the reasons of the success of the WASPA circuit is that it's very flexible. The rules are not too strict. You can organize things even if you have only one table or two tables. You don't need a lot of infrastructure. Um, as long as you have at least three players, you can organize a tournament. I believe that when you organize something, let's say in the middle of nowhere, like for instance, let's imagine we have players in Thailand who are
Mm,
only three, and they
mm,
do something. But thanks to the social networks, thanks to the internet and so on, we can promote we can promote that and see that something is starting, something is launched in Thailand. Maybe some players will be interested to join. Maybe some players will go on holiday in Thailand and will be interested to meet the local players. The
mm,
important thing is to create connections between the
mm,
players. And this is how we have had in the past some clubs starting. For instance, we had WASPA tournaments in countries like Indonesia or
mm,
Sweden,
mm,
which are countries where in the past there was no national association, no
mm,
club, and nothing official. But thanks to the WASPA circuit, we managed to have some players playing and having their own tournaments, which is the first step for to create something bigger.
mm,
In some countries, we did not have further developments. Like in Indonesia, for the moment, things
mm,
are still almost there is almost nothing going on. But like in Australia, when in 2010 things were about dead everywhere, and thanks to the WASPA circuit, we managed to have clubs in Sydney, Perth, Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide, and this is how Australia managed to have local clubs and then to organize some bigger tournaments, a national championship, a FISTF tournament. And we are happy that thanks to the circuit, we help to have new players, new clubs, and people who were ready to do a bit more than just playing.
mm.
We have also very positive experiences in Singapore or in
Mm,
England for the moment. For
mm,
the moment, for the last 2 or 3 years, England has been used. We have
mm.
seen a revival of the game
Yeah.
during the pandemic. A lot of people were looking at the internet to see if Subbuteo is still alive. And
Mm,
when people saw about the WASPer secret, many people started creating their own leagues, small clubs, organize local events, and you see now that England has been growing a lot in
yes.
the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, in fact, I interviewed Brian Daly a
Mhm.
couple of days ago, so I know he's very keen on WASPA and he's very involved in the development of tournaments and players and getting them involved in WASPA tournaments. So yeah, I've heard
Mhm.
from England. Yeah, looks like it's taken off there, and I also heard that Italy is steadily growing. It's starting to go into that direction as well. Is that true?
Yeah, there is a big difference between, for instance, England and Italy. In Italy, the national association is very strong. They
Mm,
have a lot of people who are working in the national board and trying to work on different departments, communication, development, and so on. And I would say in Italy, they don't really need WASPA because they're really,
mm,
really strong, and they
mm,
have
mm,
competitions for all kind of players, not
mm,
only the elite players, but also the beginners or the juniors, the kids, or the people who play with the old rules, because the movement
mm,
with the
mm,
old rules is very big in Italy.
mm,
So we have WASPA tournaments in Italy, but I think this country does not really need us.
mm,
I think we could do a big job, for instance, in other nations like France or
mm,
Spain or Portugal or Scandinavia, because WASPA could help people to get involved and to organize things. But in Italy, it's different, because in Italy, Subbuteo is really, really big already.
Yeah, no, it was big. I went back there in 1985 to visit some cousins, and that's how I got introduced to Subbuteo because I was living in New Zealand. My family moved to New Zealand,
Mhm.
so I didn't know anything about it. And when I went there in Torino, Turin, my cousin was playing it. So he said, "Hey, do you want to play Subbuteo?" Because I was actually playing real soccer in New Zealand at national
Mhm.
level at that time for the juniors. So I was active in soccer and I saw it. I thought, wow, this is good. And they said, yeah, this is a game from England, but it's very big here in Italy. And I was amazed because everybody was involved, you know, the grandfather, the father, the kids, and they were getting everybody involved in it. And I think that's why it survived
Yeah.
over there. And they changed, I think they changed the sport quite a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, from a game, it became a sport, because basically Subbuteo is more a game than a sport. But
Mm,
when you organize things very seriously, that you have strict rules about playing material, about how a tournament is run, uh, and when people put really, really, really a lot of effort to practice, to become strong players, and so on, it really becomes a sport. It's like pool, it's like
mm.
bowling. When you play just for fun, it's a game, and when you play very seriously, it becomes a sport.
That's right. Very good. And you mentioned, of course, you were a player as well. If we go back to your playing days, you've played in a lot of tournaments, no doubt, and had a lot of years of experience playing with in many events. What was one of the most memorable tournaments for you, if you remember? Maybe there's
uh,
many.
I could name a few ones, but for sure, my experience in the US when I played the US Grand Prix in
Hmm.
2000, yeah, in 2000, was really, it was excellent. It's an excellent souvenir. We played in a shopping mall in Alexandria, close to Washington D.C.
Hmm.
We had players from all over the US, but also from Canada, England, Scotland, Germany, and Belgium taking part. And we stood there for 1 week. So we had 2 days of Subbuteo at the tournament itself, and then the rest of the time we managed to visit the city and to spend time with the local players. So it was really a big experience. Apart from that, I played the World Cup as a player in
Mm.
2003 in Malta, and the organization was really, really good. And Malta was a really beautiful place. So I could say it was really, really a good time there in Malta as well. Yeah.
That's very interesting because soccer is not that big in the US. But so are you saying that Subbuteo is actually taking off there? There's a big interest, or how do you see the development of? We're calling it Subbuteo, even though the modern version is not really Subbuteo anymore. So do you see this? Maybe they'll call it what is it? Table soccer or something like that. Do you see it growing in the United States at all, or what's your
Yeah.
viewpoint?
But I think the American Association is doing a good job. But the problem is the distance between the players, because of course there are players in California, in the East Coast, like Maryland or Northern Carolina. There is a good club in Colorado, but it's not easy for all these players to play very often and to meet and to play tournaments. I'm sure that if these people were able to play more often, they
Mm.
could compete with the world's
Mm.
top players,
Wow.
because they are really talented players. People like Daniel Cranston or Patrick Sheridan, they are really, really good. But
Mm.
they need the experience of big tournaments like in Europe, because when you live in Belgium or Italy, it's much
mm,
easier to play
mm,
against top players all the time. And I'm sure Americans, they have the talent to do something big. Then the other problem is to develop the association with more and more players, because if you have 20 players, it's okay, but the
mm,
important thing is to grow. And it's complicated because the game is not in the shops anymore in many countries. So people maybe see the game on the internet, on social networks. They discover it this
mm,
way, but to 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 see a game on your computer, and then to decide to buy
mm,
a table, to buy a pitch, to buy it,
mm.
that's the next level. And not so many people are ready to do that, when they know it will be very complicated to find other players in the same area to play.
That's right. Now you've made a very valid point there. So that is one of the obstacles. But with more live demonstrations and maybe more local clubs pulling together, maybe there is hope for that. Um, I want to get back to your experience in playing again, because I've interviewed quite a few players now, and one of the questions I ask is, in your view, um, what bases do you use? Why do you use those bases? And tell us a little bit about your style of play.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not the top player. I don't see myself as a top player. I play with bases made in Belgium, which are called Real Soccer. They are made by a guy called TTGO. And unfortunately, for a few weeks now, his stock is totally out. He sold
Ah,
everything, and I'm not sure he will produce new bases. But
ah,
his bases are very good, but they are
mm,
very similar to the ones made by Colpani in Italy, or by
ah,
Daniel Shane in Belgium. And for me, they are really good.
mm,
The my personal secret is that I also use silicone spray to make them glide very well, and it works really good. Uh, and now, as my style of player, I think I'm not a top player. I'm a decent player. My positive, my stronger point is that I can shoot really good,
oh wow, yeah,
but
well,
my defense is really weak.
well, if you score goals, you win, I guess. That's good. That's very good. So, what were those bases again? What was the
they are
name?
they are called Real Soccer. Real like Real Madrid, and soccer, of
Ah,
course. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, I've never heard of them, unfortunately. And you say they're very similar to the Colpani bases?
Yeah, and because why the shape is almost the same. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's good. Now, I am familiar with Chow, of course, because I actually use the arrows too quite a bit. I like the arrows too. When I started, of course, I'm not a good player, but for some reason, that base and maybe my shape of my fingers or the way I play, I'm able to defend well, attack well, so I'm quite happy with them. The other ones I like, I don't know if you've used them, is the CC5s from Astrobase,
Yes,
the
absolutely.
the
Yeah,
the Tribase, which were recommended to me by Brian Daly. He uses those exclusively.
yeah, but they're really good. They're really good. You say CC5, and I know a lot about the CC3 as well. But yeah, they are really good bases indeed, indeed. So
Excellent. Very good. Very good. So you were involved, of course, with FISTF as president there. You've seen the rules. Maybe there were some changes, or maybe there are still things needed to be changed. What do you like? Can you tell us what do you like about the modern game and the rules as they are? And also the opposite. What don't you like? Maybe some things that you could see could be improved upon.
I love this question because uh, I think that one of the problems in when FISTF made proposals from new rules is that um, they don't always take the decisions to change rules for correctly. What I mean is that sometimes uh, if you want to change a rule, you need to be sure it will improve the game. For instance, when there is a throw-in or a fall, you can say no flick, and you can because in the past everybody had to play a defensive flick before
Mm.
doing the throw-in or the fall, and I think that the change is really good because it gives a bonus to the game, when the attacker can decide to play
Mm.
without moving the figures, and I think this is really good. On the other side, I hate the smashing rule because
Ah.
the smashing rule for me, I understand the intention to create this rule because among the top players, maybe some players were all the time breaking the defense of the opponents on purpose.
Mm.
But what I hate is that when you play in locally or just with friends and so on, uh, it happens. It almost never happens on purpose. And then when it's accidental, I think it's really stupid to give a free kick for the smashing. Yesterday, I played the National Cup, and I played against a guy who was maybe 16 or 17, and two or three times he say, "Smashing, you did smashing." I never did it on purpose. I never did it to break his defense, but
Mm.
he was more focused on asking the referee to get
Free kick.
a free kick instead on playing instead of playing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame.
this is not good for the spirit of the game. Yeah,
He forgot that you play for fun too, so you got to have
absolutely.
that enjoyment factor. And of course, yeah, it depends. Of course, maybe in your case, that's you weren't doing it on purpose, one thing. But then maybe there are also some players that try to break the rules or cheat a little bit, yeah,
Yeah,
it is a shame. But you get
yeah.
those people, yeah.
But, one of the problem is when the rule was proposed. Okay, some players like to break the defense on purpose, but
Mm.
it's also a result of the evolution of the material. Because
Mm.
when we had more curly bases, it was
Mm.
almost impossible to do that. And
Mm.
then people wanted always more flatter bases and heavier bases. And of course, when your material is different, you play in a different way, and
Mm.
it happens from time to time that you break the defense because the material allows it. So
That's
when
right.
the material says there is an evolution of the game because of the material, I don't see why it's necessary to change the rules.
Mm. 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 Yeah, no, no, you make some very valid points there. Very valid points. In fact, I mean, it's happened to me as well. Sometimes I'm flicking, and the player that's using lightweight bases, it's sometimes frustrating because I'm using heavyweights. They use very light ones, and when I
Mhm.
flick and it hits one of them, and I'm not trying to do any smashing move here, but it's so light that it just bounces off and hits two or three others, and yeah, like you said, smashing. It's like, your bases are actually creating that. It's not my flick, but that's the rule. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As about the other rules of the games, I think that in general, they take the right decisions.
Mm.
But if just I just don't agree with the smashing rule, but in general, the changes are positive for the game.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing game because when new players join, if they have some soccer experience, they say, "Oh, I love this! It gives me the feel of soccer, even though there are different rules. I see lots of similarities, and it's just fun flicking, and they get hooked." Yeah, so it's quite amazing. The only other problem is that there are how many pages now? 64, 68 pages of rules.
When
Uh,
you are a beginner, it's too much. It's too much.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of hard, and remembering that. So, but yeah, no, it's a good game overall. I was wanted to ask you another thing because in terms of pitches, some players live in different conditions. Some players live in very well air conditioned buildings. Others don't. They very humid conditions, dry conditions, whatever. Um, but I wanted to ask you about pitches. You've played on a lot of pitches. What's your current favorite pitch and why?
But I think the original Astro pitch by Subbuteo will always remain the best pitch. But at my club, we have a lot of different pitches, which
Mm,
are then close pitches, Astro base pitches, extreme works pitches, and we play a lot on the Astro base pitches. We have four of them. They are really good.
mm,
The only thing is at this period of the year in the winter,
mm,
there is a lot of humidity, so the glide is not really perfect. But
mm.
when the conditions are drier, it's really good to play on this. Uh, the original through pitch will always remain in my head as the best pitch, but the Astro base pitch is also really good, I think. Yeah.
Which model is that? Is it the Fast Track, the FT, or
Yeah, the latest one. Yeah,
probably the the one
I know. Yeah,
Subbuteo Land uses? I think.
yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Yeah,
That this one
yeah,
is same as the Subbuteo and yeah,
yeah. So that would be the FT model. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, no, that's good. That's good to know because sometimes people ask me, it's like, well, I've only been playing a little bit over a year, so I haven't played on that many pitches, so I don't really have an objective viewpoint. I can just tell you what I've used, but I wouldn't know which one was really good. That's good. So tell us a little bit, if you have a little bit more time, Vincent, about where are you taking WASPA now? Any plans for the future? What's the direction that you're taking?
The I think if the WASPA circuit wants to grow, we will need some more people involved to help and to give a hand to for the development.
Mm.
Because nowadays it's really a lot of work to compile results, make the rankings, make communication and so on. I'm alone to do that.
Ah,
So it's not that easy. I
mm,
asked a couple of times to several people if they want to help me, but
mm.
they all understand that it means a lot of work. Um, I can run things nowadays. It's not a problem. But what is frustrating is that some nations work really good with the WASPA circuit,
Mm,
like Australia or England, for
mm,
instance, and some others just don't. And I think
mm.
there is a huge potentials in nations like France, for instance, or Spain. And for the moment, it's frustrating to see that the national boards of these nations tell their own clubs don't play WASPA,
Oh,
and it's
really?
really
Really?
frustrating. Yeah, it's really frustrating
Mm.
to know that. Yeah.
That's
Because because some national association just focus on elite tournaments,
mm.
big events, playing in big venues and so on, and I don't think this is the way to get new players.
No, no, I agree. I agree with you totally. Very good, very good. Excellent, excellent. Okay, that's good. Is there anything else you would like to add that we haven't covered tonight, Vincent?
No, no, no. Just once again, I would like to say that I thank all the people around the world who support the circuit, who organize tournaments or test matches or everything, because every time people play under WASPA banner,
Mm,
it's a opportunity to make the game more popular and to have people discovering the game and maybe wanting to join. So hopefully we can continue to have a growing interest and to have people from many nations taking part. It's amazing, for instance, to see that we have several clubs in South Africa.
mm,
Because like 15 years ago there was nothing in
mm,
South Africa, and it's really good to see that they've done a good job in Johannesburg, in Cape Town, in Pretoria,
mm,
uh, in some other places around the world. But like 15 years ago, we never expected to have new nations involved.
mm.
Even
Mm.
Japan, huh? With
Yeah.
Kenzo, I don't think we would have seen anything done in Japan, and it was a source of inspiration for some people. And I have two good friends, Stefan and Mikael, who have been to Japan a
Mm,
couple of times, who have played tournaments in Japan, and they are
mm,
impressed every time to see that there is some big love for the game in Japan. Of course, we can always expect more. We can always expect to see that there will be more players, more different clubs, but this is great that there is something going on in Japan, that you as well do something to be involved and to get new players playing with you, and so this is really good. Really, it's good to see a Subbuteo played in so many different countries, and Asia. Asia has developed a lot in the last few years. Australia, South Africa. Uh, no, I think we can still do more in Europe and maybe South America as well. But let's be confident, and hopefully something will happen soon.
yeah, definitely. No, no, I think you set the ball rolling many years ago, and now I think people are seeing that from the grassroots level, the local level, WASPA definitely helps. And no, I'm looking forward to actually running quite a few WASPA events this year here. I just started my club, and we're actually steadily getting quite a few members. So I think in March we have a FISTF tournament that Kenzo's
Mhm.
organizing, but in April I hope to actually organize a very big WASPA event for the newer players, and I hope to make that a monthly thing as well. So, but thanks to you, of course.
Thank you so much. It's interesting to see clubs like yours taking part, and you have seen that in the last 2 years we developed the rankings of clubs in the WASPA monthly tables, and of course I understand the people who say that rankings don't mean much, but it's not. The important thing is not to be number one in the ranking. The important thing is to be involved, and and to see the evolution of your club, and to see that we have more individual players involved, and we have more we are able to run several tournaments a year. And if all the people understand the philosophy that the important thing is to play, to take part, and to have fun, then it's a success.
Definitely, definitely. The journey and the evolution along way is the fun aspect, and WASPA definitely. I think the atmosphere is more. It's let's say it's less intense in the sense that people that play in WASPA events are there to have fun, and they are. The atmosphere is much more fun. Of course, the pro circuit with FISTF is there for the people that really want the challenge. But if we compare, of course, in terms of the fun aspect, this is why I think WASPA will be very appealing to new nations that get into it, because it does encourage people to play in the atmosphere of fun and enjoyment and a very sociable, friendly atmosphere. And so that's a very, very strong point for WASPA tournaments.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Vincent, for coming along today. Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't really see you on camera, but we heard everything you had to say, and that was really good. You were very forthcoming about your approach, your plan, the background of WASPA, and I appreciate your time very much tonight. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, Andrew. Good luck for the future, and keep up the good work. And hope to see many other interviews in the future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Vincent. So take care, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Bye bye.
Have a good night. Thanks, Vincent. Cheers.